Hey, what's up, everybody? Welcome to another episode of Fanatically Speaking. I am Kent, your co-host and promoter.
I am Loggoff, the Loggoff legend hater of social media, the co-host and producer of the show.
In today's episode, we are going to roll into the NBA trade deadline. Deals that happened, it's come and gone, we're a few days removed. So we wanted to do this episode to hit on the winners, the losers, how it affects the players, the teams, and what does it mean going forward for the rest of this season and maybe even in the offseason.
What's hilarious is you said it's come and gone. It came and went. My ass, I feel like it took forever. I feel like we've been talking about it for like 2 months where it was just this guy upset about this. Yeah. This guy wants to be traded from here. Which team's going to make a move? Obviously, we'll go over all the names and stuff, but I feel like I feel like this last week took like 3 weeks. And maybe that's just me, but I've just felt like everything, it took so long to just get things done.
Well, it felt like it. And I believe, we did an episode maybe 4 months ago just to kind of get ahead of it to say, okay, who could get traded, who might get traded this season. And I don't know that any of those names got traded.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly.
So we ended up with some other names, some surprises, and then some that it was like about Tom, and then you get into all the whole the waivers and releases and what do they call it?
Signing guys, 10 days, 2-way contracts, and all of that. That's a lot.
Learned a new phrase, pre-agency. You trade for a guy so you can own his rights, bird rights, and things like that. That way. You have a better chance of signing them than you would in actual free agency. So you trade for them on that expiring contract. So they started calling that, instead of free agency, pre-agency.
Well, yeah, and it's a good term if you think about it in terms of basketball history. And we're not historians by any stretch, but if you think about it, let's just say 10, 15 years ago, it's really prevalent. Like, it happens quite a bit. Yeah. And it's a strategic move now, especially with salary caps and some teams being so much better at managing their rosters, their payrolls, expiring contracts, upcoming contracts. Obviously, we know like teams like the Spurs have always done it well. OKC, masterful at it. Boston's done a great job of keeping their core intact, just managing it, within their front office. So, man, fun stuff.
Yes. I think we've already, as we get into the trades here, so the one that happened earlier, and we're going to briefly touch on this because I think we talked about it before, but Trae Young to the Wizards, that did not happen this week. That did not happen on deadline day. It happened actually like a few weeks ago. They got ahead of the game, Atlanta, to get Trae Young out of there so they could, go their new way. He just didn't fit in their new offense, their new system, their new future.
Yeah, and I don't think I ever said this publicly, but I said it to you. I don't think that Trae Young fits on any NBA roster.
Jeez.
And my point was, and I don't even think we argued about it. Like I think I just kind of said it, and it was like, But to me, Trae Young does not represent winning basketball. You put him on your team, you are worse.
Wow.
He's a good player. And, I mean, if you're trying to sell tickets, great. You're trying to put butts in the seats. You want a guy that can get assists and get guys points, fine. He is a crippling liability on defense. So I think a team like the Wizards, who we all know for the last 30 years haven't done much winning. Even when they had great players, they didn't do a lot of winning. And I think a team like that is great for him because he's exciting for that fan base and that city. But at the same time, like that dude, he just doesn't play. He's not going to be impactful enough as a player with his talents. Even once he reaches his maximum, it's still not going to be enough to overcome all of his shortcomings. And that's not a shot at his height. I just mean his actual basketball limitation in terms of skill.
Yeah, I got you. I mean, obviously he is a talented player who deserves to be in the NBA, but I get what you're saying. Like, yeah, not everybody equals wins for a team, even though they've had, the one long run to the Eastern Conference Finals in Atlanta, and he can light up a scoreboard, 50, at any point he wants to get hot. But speaking of the Wizards, and they went out and got Trae Young, and then during the week right before the deadline, they pulled off maybe a shocker, I would say. Like, I don't know that we had them or anyone had them on their, as they say, bingo card to make a trade for Anthony Davis, which, So they get Trae Young, they bring in Anthony Davis, they shed some expiring contracts, they still have their young core that they've drafted in the most recent years. They're not a good basketball team. They're at the bottom. They're going to be in the lottery. So the one thing I'm going to say about it is, my first initial thought for Anthony Davis was I always envisioned him being on a team that can compete. And because I think he could be a piece on a team if he's on the court. It obviously didn't work out in Dallas, and we'll get into that because the trade for Anthony Davis to the Wizards is still connected to the Luka trade, last year. It all connects because this is the guy that you traded for Luka, and now a year later you're trading him away for draft picks, expiring contracts, etc. So the one thing I'll give the Wizards is credit for trying. The thing that you always bark about teams try.
I give you that.
And,
try.
Yeah, and I give, like you said, put butts in seats, give those fans a reason to watch this basketball team, because otherwise there's really no reason to watch the Washington Wizards. So now at least you do have 2 all-star players, one all-time great in Anthony Davis. So, he'll cover the defense, and then Trae Young will do the offense, and then in between is all these youngsters. But I said the Wizards are trying, and that's all you can ask for your franchise to say, hey, look, you may not want Trae Young, and Anthony Davis may be a liability because, he's Mr. Glass, but, at least we're trying to give you something to watch.
Okay, so a couple of things. One, bird's eye overview, just big picture. So essentially, the Dallas Mavericks traded Luka Doncic to the Lakers for what exactly?
This is the rundown of what the Mavericks ended up getting.
Okay.
Obviously, they got Anthony Davis, but then they swapped him out to the Wizards.
Yep. Well, no. That's what I mean.
So here's what the Mavericks ended up.
Yeah. So at the end of it, in terms of the Luka, the currency that Luka was worth, what do they get in return?
So trading away their franchise player, they ended up getting Max Christie, Chris Middleton, A.J. Johnson. Ultimately, Tyus Jones, because they flipped Malachi Branham to the Hornets for Tyus Jones. So okay. Tyus Jones, Marvin Bagley, a Lakers 2029 first-round pick, a Thunder 2026 first-round pick, Warriors 2030 protected first-round pick, Suns 26 second-round pick, Bulls 27 second-round pick, and a Rockets 29 second-round pick. Now, most of this came from this Wizards deal. Yeah.
Of course. No, I know. And that sounds like mediocrity at its finest.
Yeah, because
it doesn't equate the value of an international superstar that you got rid of, who's been balling, you know, and even though he's been out of shape, Luka has stayed reasonably healthy throughout his career. And that's what you're getting out of him, even, with bad conditioning and all that, in terms of, historically how he's played. Sorry,
so the first round picks, you look at it, in 2029, a Lakers first round pick will still be probably not a great
low.
Yeah, but good.
Yeah, it won't be a lottery pick.
They'll still be good. They got Luka.
Correct. OKC won't be a lottery pick.
OKC definitely won't be a lottery pick this year. And the Warrior and
Correct. Golden State maybe.
It's a protected though. So in 2030 they probably won't be good, but it is protected. I don't have that like how protected it is, but I'd have to say that it's not going to be a top pick.
Agreed. I wanted to clarify that portion before I got to this, because you do make a good point, and it is something that I say consistently. I understand that the NBA and all sports franchising is business. It's a lot of things that go into, instead of just, the things that we enjoy, which is the games, the players, the team, the atmosphere, all that stuff. That's what fans look at. The front office is looking at numbers. They're looking at, all the things that don't really matter to us. The thing that you said about Anthony Davis and the Wizards trying and making an attempt, I'm going to spring this on you because I don't think you know this.
Okay.
I don't think you caught wind of this. Are you aware that literally overnight that the Wizards have ruled Anthony Davis out for the rest of the year?
No, I did not.
He ain't going to even play this season.
Well, Trae Young,
out.
Trae Young's not going to play this season. There you
pretty
go.
Much.
I mean, that's what the word was. They're basically going to let him, because they don't want to win right now. They want to get a good pick, and
they're tanking.
So
you make these trades.
You mean teams don't try so they can get a
no. Well, no, and this is what I mean. Like it's so blatant, man. Like don't tell me, don't lie to me. Because they do these introductory press conferences, and you sit over there with the coach and the player and front office people. But you traded for two players that have great names in the NBA. Trae Young, I don't like him as a player. I'm a point guard snob. Yeah. I don't like him as a player, but I understand what he is. Anthony Davis, same thing. Number 1 overall pick, Kentucky, all of that. Mr. Glass, he stays hurt.
Bubble champion.
He was overweight 2 months ago. He was big, and now here he is. He's out. He's out for the rest of the year with a hand/groin injury, and then I guess they're going to try to get them healthy and then just start next year. So I mean, just think about if you're that fan base. You see the news come in about the trades, and then it's like doesn't even matter.
Well, not
going into the All-Star break. We're going to shut everything down for the rest of the year. And your undersized point guard that can't play defense, and your big man that's constantly hurt. Neither one of them are even going to play. You're not going to even be able to see them this season.
No, I mean, and again, I wouldn't expect a lot this season anyways. They're not going to make a run, so, and they're basically got 1 year with Trae Young to see if it works, and then either they move on or he moves on. Now, Davis
would have been nice to test those waters, though, Kent. Would have been nice to be able to see how he fits with the offense and fits with and the locker room. You know what I mean? Like all these things matter, man. Like the teams that win, dude. You're a Spurs fan. They had a you never heard about drama amongst that team. You never heard about lack of cohesion.
Only with Kawhi and his uncle.
And he was an outlier. Everybody else was on the same page, and they got his ass up out of there.
Yeah.
So, I mean, it's just, I don't know. It leaves a bad taste in my mouth. I hate it. I know we got more teams to get to, but I hate that kind of shit. We can keep it rolling. What else we got?
For sure. Let's see. The next trade, I want to bring this one up just because we just talked about what Luka got, and we talk about what these guys get traded for. And first-round picks matter, but like we just went over, it matters what team is giving you first-round picks.
Correct.
So the Memphis Grizzlies, we can go ahead and put it out there. Obviously, everybody knows now, they didn't trade Ja Morant, but they did trade Jaren Jackson Jr. And to the Jazz. And again, a team that at least they're trying, right? You like to see a team that is at the bottom make a deal to say, okay, let's look into our future. Like I said, the Wizards, their future is only about, maybe 1 to 3 years with that, what they just got. But the Jazz, so they send Jackson to the Grizzlies send Jackson to the Jazz. There's a lot of role players involved in this trade, so I'm not going to go over all that. But again, the Jazz give the Grizzlies 3 first-round picks. I don't have the years. All I know is, though, if you're getting 3 first-round picks from the Jazz, that's pretty good. So, the Grizzlies are obviously, they're not going anywhere. We'll get into Ja here in just a minute. But, I was kind of surprised at this trade. This was one of the shockers that, they got rid of Jackson and, moved on to go ahead and just say, let's rebuild, let's retool. We're just going to get a bunch of picks and role players, and we'll build from there. I guess around, like I said, Zach Edey, and other guys.
Yeah, that one came out of nowhere. They didn't trade John Morant. The role players that were exchanged, again, not impactful. I don't know if this makes Utah any better. And I think at this time, Memphis is looking at it like we have to wipe the slate clean. 4 or 5 years ago, if I would have told you that this is the place that the Memphis Grizzlies would be in, you'd look at me like I was insane.
Nah. Yeah.
Where they're literally burning it all down. Their future is so uncertain. And they had such a massive upside with a potential face of the league type player in John Morant. And the Scottie Pippen to his Jordan was supposed to be Jaren Jackson Jr. So they went ahead and moved him because they knew he had value, and I guess they knew that they could get something for it. To me, that seemed like more of a salary dump. And he is what is he, like 28? 26, Jaren Jackson Jr.
Yeah.
He's going to end up coming up. I'm sorry.
He'd been in the league a lot longer than I thought.
A lot longer, yeah. I mean, I guess we can say an old 26.
Yeah.
But he, at some point, you're gonna have to pay him. You're gonna have to lock him in, and they're like, okay, well, what value can we get for him now? And I honestly think he should be better statistically. He's averaging 19 and 6 for the year. I think of him as a better, higher tier player than that. And they haven't been able to get that from him. So I understand them making this move. I'm sure you want to touch on the Ja Morant thing. It's so bizarre that a player like that you and I look at and see a value in him as a player and a draw on the court and off the court. But teams just wouldn't even make a move to bring him in. So maybe there's some whispers and there's things going on with him that just we don't know. But it's beyond strange. I'm trying to think of a comp of like an instance in which something like this happened before. And I'm drawing a blank. I can't come up with anything.
Yeah. We talked about this before in an episode, his fall from grace. And that's been, that's been talked about. And I think the Grizzlies, changing coaches like underwear is an issue. No matter how well they do, I mean, was it last year? Was it like a week before the playoffs? They decided, hey, we're gonna change head coaches. Okay, no, that makes sense.
Yes,
yeah. So that franchise, that management, again, great for them getting picks, but now you got to go find the next John Morant, Jaren Jackson Jr., Desmond Bane, Dylan Brooks, because those are the 4 guys that they had on that team that were up and coming and battling for the top seeds in the West. So they have blown it up. Word is Ja will get traded in the offseason. They're hoping, I'm sure they're hoping he gets to play a little this year more to maybe boost his value, because the word was that he had no value. He actually had negative value. The only way teams were going to trade for him was with draft picks attached to him. So teams were like, yeah, we'll take him, but you got to give us some picks too.
So what are we missing? What am I missing? Because I did hear that too. The negative value, negative value quote was shocking. Mm-hmm. I know what it means to have a negative value, but the negative value comes. So I'll put it like this: I'm selling my house.
Yeah,
my house is going to lose value if all the pipes are burst. Homeless people came in and stole all the copper wiring out of it. You know what I mean? They ripped up all the floors, and there's a hole in the roof. Negative value. I get it. I know what the hell that means.
Yeah.
You telling me that applies to John Morant? Where?
We're
For what?
I think we're missing. I think, like you said, that the most recent years of his trouble, his baggage, and then if you watch him this year, there's been many clips of him in street clothes still yapping at other players like a Klay Thompson, or he's doing extra. Obviously, him and the coaching staff, all that with the team is not going well. So apparently that's it's spread around the league, and teams are like unbelievable player, but what else are we getting with them? Are we getting the Ja from a few years ago before all this stuff, or are we going to get the new Ja who doesn't really produce as much, and he comes with extra stuff? That's the only thing I can say. That's what we have to go by what we see, and I'm sure there's other stuff.
It has to be.
I'm sure there is
because this is a league that had the bad boy Pistons in it. This is a league that had Dennis Rodman in it. Like you know what I mean? Like what exactly are we speaking?
It's a different world too. Like you said,
I understand it's a different world, again, but even with the things that he's let's just assume for the sake of this, because a lot of the stuff with John Morant was more allegation based.
True.
I'll give you that. All of it's gospel. Let's say it's fact. It's absolutely true. If he is as good as you and I think that he is, he's still worth all of that. Look at what Draymond got. Draymond sucker punched a teammate on camera.
Draymond does something.
And the team got mad at the dude that released the video. They didn't even get mad at Draymond.
I was about to bring up Draymond. I was like, the Warriors put up with so much from a guy who is not even the best player.
Was their fourth best player. Yeah.
And, it's every week something with him.
And he lost them a championship. Come on, man.
I've never, if there's ever been someone that's given, Draymond is on a different level. That's one that you just say, man, the Warriors just love him. For whatever reason, they kicked Klay out as soon as he had a limp, but Draymond can do whatever, and they just will not trade him or get rid of him. They just keep him. But you thought maybe the Miami Heat, they could have give the Grizzlies Terry Rozier and been like, hey, look, let's just swap bad for bad. We'll give you a gambler, and we'll take Ja off your hands.
It's something I'm not getting. I'm pretty sure it'll surface like all things do. But
he's still, like I said, he's still young, talented, and hopefully, like we always say, hopefully he can turn around, man, because he was exciting. So we'll see in the off.
I think he'll be okay.
We'll see in the off season. And let's move on to another trade, another shocker. One of our favorite teams in the league, the Clippers, who are on a roll of late, like we said. The Clippers and Hornets, two best teams in the 2026 right now in the NBA, and they traded it feels like every trade deadline, there's certain names that come up or request or however. But James Harden traded to the Cleveland Cavaliers for Darius Garland.
Yeah, that one came out of nowhere, and so that one hit the text chain, and my first reaction was, did he request a trade? And because we've seen James Harden consistently make a mess when he's ready to leave somewhere. He makes it ugly. He comes in fat and out of shape. He claims the injuries. You can see it reflected in his basketball, like when he's on the court. But it seemed like this was something that was more, and just, you correct me if I'm wrong, to me it seemed more of like a mutual parting of ways than him saying, trade me somewhere else. Is that fair to say?
Yeah, even though they were on the up and, like I said, rising in the rankings, right now they'd be in the play-in, but they're really close to getting to 500, over 500. So it was kind of a weird timing. But at the same time, it felt mutual. It sounds mutual. He keeps saying that he didn't request a trade. I think the Clippers, they obviously need to get younger. I mean, we talked about how the moves they made in the offseason, but I'm like, yeah, but they're all old. Like, CP3 and Bradley Beal and Brook Lopez and Harden. They're all old. You know what I mean? So they needed to get younger. I do like the trade for the Clippers. I don't know about the Cavs yet. We know Harden's a great player, but he's never really equaled, yeah, this team's going to the finals. Every team he's ever been on outside of the Thunder, which he was the third man, and that was so far and so long ago in his career and so young in his career. Obviously, as the Rockets, he was the best of his career, but in Brooklyn and Philly and Clippers, we're supposed to be like, oh, they got James Harden, and he's with so-and-so, He's paired with KD, and then he's paired with Embiid, and he's paired with Kawhi. Even in Houston, he's got, CP3, and he's got, it never worked. So to think that Cleveland, who have only won because of LeBron James and Draymond Green, I can't sit there and think that this is going to be different. And I'm really not sure, and I don't know how you think about this, and I said this, like, I'm not sold yet on how Mitchell-Harden combination is going to work out. Maybe well, you know what I mean? Like I said, with Atkinson as a coach, I think they'll have a really good offense. They got the pieces. It's just, do they put it together?
Well, I think I feel like there's in the NBA, it's different than the NFL, where I feel like you need a little more cohesion because there's just so many players. There's so many factors that come into it. To me, like, basketball is different because these guys have been playing basketball since they were 5 years old. Like, to put Donovan Mitchell and James Harden on the same team, they'll figure it out. It might take a while. Mm-hmm. It might take them, a month or two. Mm-hmm. But ultimately, they'll be able, if they're both willing, they'll be able to play to each other's strengths and then try to minimize their weaknesses. Neither one of them are great defenders. Harden's got that uncle body. Donovan Mitchell is sneakily undersized as a guard, mm-hmm. but he's super effective. And, they've got a really good, so you got a good front court, you got a good back court. I think everything that surrounds around them winning and losing is all their role players and whether or not they're able to do it. And that's what matters, especially in the East. We saw it last year with Indiana. That's how the Pacers got to the finals. Their role players were amazing the entire playoffs. It's like, hey, we can just bring this guy off the bench. He can just go get us 16. Some dude you never heard of.
Yeah.
And so I think that's where it's going to come in. I mean, we know Harden can shoot. We know he can distribute. He has a very high usage rate. He dominates the ball, which I think opens some opportunities for Donovan Mitchell to get some easy buckets. That dude works hard to get buckets.
Yeah.
And that was something that with Garland, I mean, Garland's a frustrating guard to me. Again, another undersized player. But he would just dribble. 7 seconds left on the clock, and it's like, okay, now let's try to figure out how we're going to get a shot off. You won't have that with Harden. Decisions are going to be made quick, passing lanes, open, run a set, ISO a guy, put him on skates, kick it to the corner, open three. That's what I see. I think they're going to be okay. I like the trade for Cleveland. So when it comes to Garland, I don't see a benefit or an upside on the Clippers roster, except for the fact that they moved Harden, which is a high value, high dollar asset. And we all know all the things that are going on with the Clippers. Aspiration, Kawhi Leonard, Ballmer, Adam Silver, all that stuff. I think it was
Chris Paul.
I think that decision was made just to kind of get one more guy out of the room. Because if things sour with the Clippers, if there's kind of a bombshell that's on the way down for them, James Harden ain't gonna want to be a part of that. Like he don't want any parts of that. So, I'm gonna backtrack I'm gonna take a half step back on what I said about how I think this was more of a mutual parting of the ways. And I think when they brought it to Harden, he sat and thought about it and was like, you know what? I'm not going to be mad at you guys they sent him to Cleveland, who is a competitive team in the Eastern Conference. I mean, he has a better shot of winning a championship with Cleveland than he does with the Clippers. Okay,
sure.
so I
100%.
guess that's just kind of where I think it balanced out. I think the shocking thing was that nobody really saw it coming. It wasn't something that had whispers. Clearly somebody just presented an offer and they were like, you know what? Yeah, I think this works. I think this is good for both sides.
It was really quick. Like it came, like it kind of started. There was rumblings, and then it happened, and it moved fast. It's one of those trades that really move fast. Not as fast as Luka and AD in the middle of the night, but but definitely move fast. And like you said, the Clippers. Yeah, apparently, if something does go down, they're going to make Kawhi go down with the ship. So.
Yeah, and they should, as they should, because everybody is in on it, and that's the thing where it's like, it's a mob deal. If everybody is in on it, I want everybody to go down. We're not just gonna let one guy skate on it, just because he's the athlete in there.
Yep.
Yeah, forget that. Hell out of here.
Speaking of the Clippers, they also moved Zubats to the Indiana Pacers for Mathurin, so they get younger there. So the Clippers they get a little younger. Again, what does it help at the end of the day? It gets a little younger, and that's about it, right? And we'll see where they go with this new these new players. But again, they're not winning anything, but they're making a good showing at the moment. Speaking of tall, however you want to classify Zubats as a international, white international player. We also had the Bulls, trade Vucevic to the Celtics for Anthony Simons. The Bulls collected guards, I don't know what they're gonna do with all these guards. But they did get Simons. They ended up getting Sexton from the Hornets, Dillingham from the Wolves, Ivy from the Pistons. So the Bulls were collecting guards. Didn't matter what kind of guards. They just got a bunch of guards to go with the guard they already had in Josh Giddey. So just wanted to touch on that. I'll get to the Hornets. So, again, Vucevic moved to the Celtics. It helps them. And, by the way, they're still just playing with Jaylen Brown, Derek White, and a bunch of guys. Just go look at the stat line from last night, and you'll see there was really only two people scoring, and Vucevic added a little bit off the bench. So, good move for the Celtics, though. I'm not going to sit here and stay on them, but, if there is a outside chance that Tatum would come back for the playoffs, then I would say watch out for the Celtics. Otherwise, good showing, good season. Don't see them winning a championship.
No, and I don't think they have to. All they have to do is compete, and I think they will do that. That's all I have to. They've been playing well all year. Jaylen Brown's been balling, and some of the trades that they made, it confused me a little bit, but they've shown that they have the ability to just win enough games to get a good enough seeding. And in the Eastern Conference, it's a total crapshoot, man. Like, everybody's got a shot in the East.
It is.
So I like their chances. If they made a run and made it to the finals, you wouldn't be shocked whatsoever.
I'd be shocked if they did it with this roster. Again, if Tatum comes back for the playoffs, then
okay.
I'm saying only if that
even
happens,
with what
then they
you've
make
seen
a
from
run
them
like
so
that.
far this year, you still would be shocked if they made it to the finals.
Look, I forgot to make this point, I think, on one of the last NBA episodes when we were talking about teams, regular season playoffs, right? For different teams, regular season success is measured differently.
Correct.
Okay? So, like the Charlotte Hornets, they're having a great regular season. That's a big deal for the Charlotte Hornets because we're not used to that. For the Celtics with this roster, they're having a good regular season, but it doesn't measure the same. It's going to be measured as, they overachieved in the regular season given the injuries and the guys they got rid of.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
It does.
Does that
It
make
makes
sense? And then so it's different measure. It's like you said, it doesn't matter. Some teams it's like, I don't care what you do in the regular season. what do you do in the playoffs? Other teams, it's like, hey, you're having a good regular season. That's pretty good. Like, we'll take it. You know, we talked about the Phoenix Suns, other teams. I'm not going to get into the whole thing about teams, but that's how I look at the Celtics here. But I'm going to just move on to this will all tie in here in a minute. Another one, Kristaps Porzingis gets traded again, and he is another version of Anthony Davis. He stays injured, but so Golden State, they missed out on Giannis, so they get Porzingis. But in the meantime, they get rid of, finally, Jonathan Kuminga. So they send Kuminga Hill to the Hawks for Porzingis. How are we feeling about the Warriors?
This season, they're not going to do anything. They're not deep enough. Like, it doesn't – I understand the acquisition, and Porzingis has value. He's an impact player in pockets, but he never reached the level that we thought he would. Like, he's not going to have the career that we expected him to have based on all the things that we saw. And he charted high early, which I think actually is to his detriment in terms of what our expectations of him were. And, even in the, even when he was playing for the Celtics, even at times when they really needed him, he ended up getting hurt. And he came back, he was able to play, but it was like, damn, like, dude, like, we really need him out there. But for the Warriors, they have a system, and it's not exactly, the Will Smith Bel Air offense where you just give the ball to Curry and just let him go nuts. It's still systemic where you can plug guys in and have them be an impact, whether offensively or defensively. But at the same time, I don't see him doing enough defensively or offensively to make a measurable difference for them to have any chance of sniffing any success in the Western Conference. It's just not going to happen. And we talked about this before. In the NBA, famous quote from Jalen Rose, I love it. You don't trade players, you trade contracts. So at a minimum, 50-50 of this. Half of it was, okay, what does his contract look like? How long can we keep him? What are we going to have to pay him now and in the future? And then the other half is, well, how does he fit with our team? And I think that Steve Kerr is looking at it like, okay, yeah, I can do something with him. But from a basketball standpoint, doesn't move the needle for me, not an ounce.
Yeah, it's really a rental for the rest of the season, and they get off the Kuminga relationship, which has been – yeah, so, for them missing out on Giannis, they just said, hey, let's get Kuminga out of here. And if it takes to get rid of Buddy Hield, which, again, role player, and we get expiring contract in Porzingis. And, again, if he plays any, I think he's played 17 games this year, so the Hawks barely knew him. And so we'll see. Yeah. I'm going to connect the dots. We'll connect to Giannis. We'll get back to Giannis here in a minute. But first, let's hit on the hometown Hornets, the, as you call them, buzzing Hornets. As of this podcast, they are 8 in a row, which they had not done since 1999, the good old days of the Charlotte Hornets. And so they're rolling, and they made a move. They made some small moves, waived some veterans, traded some veterans that weren't even playing, really. So they bring in Carolina Tar Heel, Kobe White. They get rid of Sexton, who I like Sexton. He was a good sixth man for this team. But obviously an upgrade to get Kobe White, to add to an already, really, they're starting to be a juggernaut of an offense. And Charles Lee has actually got them playing defense. And we talk about the Hornets again, not just winning games, but beating good teams. And now they're, like I said, the biggest thing for me is they're beating them on the road. And there's a whole list of them, and we've been over it. But I think Kobe White adds a little bit more explosiveness off the bench, even if they want to start him some when they do the whole mellow off the bench. Some games to, help his minutes and try to keep him healthy. So I really do at the end of the day like the deal. And obviously the old saying is to get something, you got to give up something. And they give up a Colin Sexton who, again, his deal was up at the end of the year. Same with Kobe White, but I think they have a better chance of re-signing White probably for, even though we're saying he's a better player, his contract is less. So I don't know. Maybe in some way I think that they can keep White even after the season.
Yeah, I don't want to be I don't want to be the guy that talks down on the Hornets. So I am not, okay? I have to see it. I have to see how things play out. That's all that really matters to me is what's the end result and how is this going to work out long term. I think this was risky, so I can't criticize them for seeing some chances that for when they believe that they can make their team a better. But things like this really screw with the team chemistry. And for a franchise and an organization like this that is getting national attention in the NBA for playing well over a stretch, everyone's shouting them out like, y'all see what the Hornets are doing down in Charlotte? A good couple of months, and then you do this. If everything falls apart, this is going to look negative on them. So sometimes when you got a good thing going, you just kind of want to just see how your cards play out. So I'm going to give them credit for taking a chance, but now it's on them to find a way to make it work.
Yeah, we'll see how it works. Obviously, after the trade, they did beat the Houston Rockets in Houston.
Okay.
So that was a good win. White did not play. He's not active yet. I hate they got rid of Pat Connaughton, waived him. I mean, he wasn't playing. But when you watch Hornet games, man, he was like an extra coach out there. So I do hate that. I definitely agree with you. I do worry about the chemistry. Like, why even mess with something that's working so well? But as you said, at the end of the day, a lot of these trades sometimes is about contracts. And like I said, White is a better player than Colin Sexton, but it just seemed to be working, right? You bring in Sexton, he does what he gets hot, and I don't know. Like I said, it's a risky move to mess with that chemistry. Like I said, some of the other deals they made, not a big deal. This was the big one. I really just look at, like, obviously this was the big deal. I just look at this and then waiving Pat Connaughton to bring in some younger talent. Again, are those guys going to play? That's my thing. Is like, are these guys they picked up? Are they really going to play? So that's all. But that was one of the deals. Let's see. Before we get to Giannis, we're going to do that in a minute. I just want to get into a few teams that didn't do anything, and what does that mean? And I'm talking about a team I just mentioned, the Houston Rockets. You think about all the guards the Bulls collected, all the guards that were traded really in the whole league. And here the Rockets are, Van Vliet's out this season, and they didn't go pick up anybody. No expiring deal like a Colin Sexton or any, what would it take to bring in a Sexton or just a veteran guard? So the Rockets did nothing. The Heat, obviously, they were in the Giannis sweepstakes. And again, spoiler, Giannis didn't get traded either. So the Heat, a team that's kind of middle of the pack somewhere in the East, they normally make deals. They didn't do anything. The Lakers really didn't do anything. I mean, they brought in Luke Kennard, but he's just getting passed around now. So those were the three teams kind of that I saw. I like the Thunder brought in Jared McCain, and that doesn't mess up too much because you added a player and you didn't really move any of your pieces that really matter. I'm glad the Spurs didn't do anything because, again, you talk about chemistry, and it's like, man, they're already ahead of their schedule with this young team and this this new what do you want to call it? New breed of players in San Antonio. So I like they didn't mess with anything. But teams like the Rockets, I think the Heat, the Lakers, I think they could have made a move to say, let's just add a guy. Let's just add a piece, and maybe we can compete and be a little better.
I'm not shocked. I like the fact that they were like, you know what? We're going to go with what we have. Do they have
The Rockets?
Yes. I mean, just think about the structure of their team. Think about their coach. Think about their franchise and how what's the best way to put this? How relevant they've been lately, or irrelevant they've been lately. However you want to put it. I mean, dude, they're 31-19. Like they you know what you're gonna get with what you have, and I don't know if this is a front office decision or if it's lack of coaching or whatever. But when you look at their team, they're good enough, and I don't think there's any swing that they could have taken, minus getting a top 10 player in a trade, which at that point it wouldn't even be able to fit. I mean, they're paying KD $55 million alone. Şengün's getting $34 million a year. Like, so salary wise, you would have had to disrupt so much of what you had going on to make such a swing to try it, mainly just for this year. And here's the other thing. How long and this is just a question for you and just your opinion, how long you think KD going to be in Houston?
Well, recently he averages about a year and a half
there you
on
go.
the team.
There you go. So you can't make major moves, and then any major moves you have to think about it. These types of trades, draft pick swaps, like they stick with you for at a minimum 4 to 5 years. Like the impact of what takes place sticks with you, sticks with an organization. I don't have a problem with them just saying, you know what, man, we just gonna go with this. We're just gonna run with it. So I mean, maybe that's where I see it a little differently. And like you have names, you've got roster, you've got coaching, and they're winning. They have a winning record. I think they're just gonna roll the dice and just, hey, let's just see what we've got. I don't think it was necessary. It's probably a better way to put it.
Okay.
And that's just my opinion.
Yeah, I just no, that's cool. I get it. Like I said, I wasn't saying like they need to like swing big. I just think, like I said, an expiring veteran guard, right? Where it's only on the rest of the season. They've got guys they could move, like, Finney Smith, and you don't have to give up. I don't think you'd have to give up a lot to get some of these guys, but like I said, we'll see. I hear rumblings. I heard maybe Chris Paul. Chris Paul did get traded from the Clippers to the Raptors, but obviously he'll never play for the Raptors, and he could, if a team wanted to bring him in. But again, what does he really add, and what can he do at this point in his career too? So I just, like I said, you always look at the teams that didn't make the deals or make a big deal to swing momentum. But again, I know we talked about the Heat, but you could also talk about the Warriors. Again, they had to settle. The Heat just settled for nothing. And then another team like the Wolves, they did make small moves, but they had to, miss out on Giannis. So to Giannis, he does not get traded. The Bucks, they were even in the John Morant sweepstakes to try to, again, they're trying anything to keep Giannis in Milwaukee. Giannis says he is kind of ready to move on, but he's not really saying he wants to move on. And the Bucks are not getting better. They claim they're going to keep him, and then they think they can, maybe, try to still compete. But again, they don't own their own draft pick until like 2031. So again, the question is, what are the Bucks doing? Are they just going to do in the offseason? Do they get more offers, better offers for Giannis? Because I don't see where this works. They are now out of the play-in. Giannis is hurt. Does he even play? Do they hold him out? Again, you talk about tanking like the Wizards. Again, it's going to be so blatant if Giannis doesn't play the rest of the season. But then again, the Bucks, they're still the draft pick is still like not really in their control. So I'm like, what are we doing? So what do you think? What do you got?
It's all right. There's a lot of things. I'm going to try to blaze through them. There was the all of the rumors that Giannis had requested a trade, but it was never fully made public. One thing. When the team was asked about it, front office, their head coach, everyone went on the record saying, no, that's not what happened. He didn't request a trade. Then he got, right when all that happened, he got injured with a ghost injury where he literally just went down to the floor. No contact, no sudden movement, no jerking, no nothing. Just, I'm hurt. That's one side of things. I'm a person where it's like, if you tell me something, I would like to take you at your word. There's a lot of people out here lying. We know that. But if the dude say he didn't want to get traded, okay, fine. The other thing is what's best for Milwaukee. They're looking at this like, yeah, man, look, things didn't work out the way we wanted it to. Our team isn't playing that great. Obviously all the stuff with Dame. I think that there is by him not being traded, I think there's an opportunity that he actually stays in Milwaukee. And here is what it's just a thought and just a vision. What if they just go get Ja Morant?
No, I like that
nothing
idea.
else. You got nothing to lose. Not only that, you can also go ahead and kind of clean up your roster, bring in some new young talent, but you bring him in. He needs a star. Who was the second best player on that team when they won that championship?
Drew Holiday?
That's
Chris Middleton?
You see how you said both of those names with question marks at the end. He had no de facto number two. The dude had to drop. The dude almost snapped his leg in half. Had to put up 50 for them to win that championship. He's tired of doing it alone. I don't blame him.
Oh no.
So for him, it's like, hey, like I'm trying to win, and I like that. In today's NBA, give me the dude that wants to win. You have a Milwaukee on your roster. I don't know if they capitulated to a lot of things. I mean, hell, his brothers, all the contracts and stuff with his brother, and all that stuff.
Yeah.
And they tried with Dame, didn't work out. So now it's like, okay, now what do we do? And keep in mind, there's money that's going to have to be eaten for that Dame contract too. So that plays a role in this as well, while still playing Giannis top. Giannis is going to make top dollar money for the next 6-7 seasons. Like, he's just that much of a talent.
Yeah.
So I don't think this is the worst thing ever. And ultimately, I think it came down to, I think that they may be able to keep him in Milwaukee long term. Not long. Well, let's say long term, 3-4 years. And also, for a player of that magnitude, top 5 player in the league, who wants it, who's a go-getter, who stays healthy, except for this season, I don't think they got packages that were good enough where they were like, yeah, we can make that move. They're not going to we're going to move Luka to L.A. for Anthony Davis. They're a smarter organization than that. They know what they have in Giannis.
No, yeah.
So I think it's a little of both of those things.
Yeah, I have no problem with them, not getting traded. Obviously, I like the trade deadline. I like when guys are traded. It's exciting, right? It's that new, like, oh, now this guy's on this team. But it's also a good thing to not see Giannis hopefully, turn into, a Kevin Durant, a James Harden, where they play 5 or 6 teams. It would be great for Giannis to only play in Milwaukee. And I kind of compare it to like a Dirk Nowitzki in Dallas, right? Go through the highs and lows, stay with that team your whole career. But the Bucks have got to do some work. Like, last year, giving Miles Turner that contract was not like the smartest thing to do, right? You know what I mean? So it's like, where are you spending your money? How are you spending your money? And then you got to get draft picks somewhere. You got to. So they're going to have to get creative to keep Giannis. Again, he's not that guy. He's not KD. He's not James Harden. So he's trying to be really, really nice about it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's like I'm pressuring you, but I'm also hugging you.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So, and that's just the way he is, and you got to love that about Giannis. So, but the bigger question is, as an organization, though, how are you going to do it? And I'm really interested to see how they do it, if they are going to keep him. So
yeah, I mean, we'll see how it all plays out, and there'll probably be some more moves. There'll probably be some more disgruntled NBA players, who want to be, and who knows? I mean, Milwaukee's not a sexy location, so no. But I mean, I would rather be in Milwaukee than Memphis personally. So I think Ja would.
Yeah, speaking of Ja,
So I think that's a really good, and for somebody that has, as you put it, and I want to say, I think Windhorse coined that negative trade value.
He did, yeah.
So I mean, it seems like it's a perfect opportunity for them to say, what the hell? If you lose Giannis, you were going to lose him anyway. You might as well go out swinging.
Yeah, I mean, like you said, Ja. I mean, you go to Milwaukee, it's better than Memphis. And, a personality, a guy like Ja with whatever rumored, issues, baggage that he's got, maybe not Miami, maybe not certain city, what I mean? It was also funny, Ja, there was a report saying that, he didn't want to go to Sacramento. And it's like, dude, if they're saying you got negative value, you don't have a say in where you go.
Well, and here's the other thing. And you could say, I understand what you're saying about, I don't want to kill too much time on this. I understand what you're saying about Miami. I understand it. As a man, I understand you. But
there's a lot of distractions.
It is a lot of distractions. But I mean, hell, Zion's having distractions in New Orleans. And the one thing I'll tell you is you can say whatever you. I know we know what South Beach is. We know what Miami, all that entails.
Yeah. Right.
Name a player who gets in trouble like that in Miami. They don't play. Pat Riley don't play that shit, man.
True. I'm just saying, if you're thinking about a place for Ja, Milwaukee is a good, safe place. I don't think you need. He's shown that obviously he hasn't, like I said, you can say mature, grown up, whatever the case may be. I don't think you want to add to that.
That's fair.
Zion's a different story. He's just
on a counter. On a counter. I would to only counter that is that adding that environment to it. I actually think is actually beneficial, because what you do is, when you get him into I mean that the Heat culture quote. I believe that. Two. Yeah. No one there is fearful. Spoelstra ain't fearful of losing his job, and ain't nobody going. Pat Riley gonna have to drop dead in that Heat facility. And you've got champion veterans that are still in that building. You got D Wade, you got Alonzo Mourning, you got Shaq, who's still a part of that. Like he's still in that building. You know what I mean? Haslam. Like they got guys who's like, whoa, hey, you going out tonight? Haslam's going with you. The Miami Heat security is going, like, we don't do this dumb shit.
They're gonna hire.
Hey, why not? Why not? They need someone to make sure that dude doesn't get into trouble. And one more thing, and then I'll leave this alone. And I would like to see Ja in Miami. I would just want to see him have an opportunity to play basketball at a high level for a really, really a tight-knit organization. And I feel like Milwaukee has some of that, but Miami's kind of the shining. I guess we could say Miami or San Antonio. But on the flip side of that is, I want you to think about this. Think about all the stories that came out of the Heat's locker room when LeBron was there. And LeBron wanted to do LeBron things, and Pat Riley's like, "No, the hell you not." What you mean you gonna put who you want to bring on the team plane? Nah. They're gonna have to catch a flight like everybody else. Suddenly catch an American Airlines flight to meet us and but no, you're not gonna stay over. And everybody, we came here together. We're all gonna leave here together. that's the protocol. And they didn't make exceptions for LeBron.
No, I mean, I definitely agree with that part. The organization, the coach would be
And John
spot.
needs that. He needs structure. They're gonna tell his dad,
for sure.
Shut the hell. You ain't got no say. You can sit in your courtside seats looking like Usher, but you don't get no say of what takes place. There's no playing time. Shut the hell up. Don't be making comments to reporters. It's not gonna benefit him, and it ain't gonna work.
No, that's a good counter. I like it. Like I said, I agree with that part.
Yeah, he needs it. I just want to see Ja play ball again, man. Like, get the dude back out there. He's a hooper.
All right, I think we covered a lot. We covered the big ones, the big trades, the big moves, the not moves. So we're going to end this episode on a kind of a fun, random topic that you
surprising me with it, dude. I'm smiling. Let's go. What you got?
So since we're talking about trades and waivers and releases, let's talk about you, Loggoff. Loggoff has, however you want to put it, he's requested a trade, his release.
I have James Harden in this situation. Oh, I am James Harden. I just shaved my beard too. We'll go. How you want to frame this? How you want to put it? Because honestly, I didn't know how you wanted to address it, if at all.
Yeah, well, I wanted to address it just so we give a heads up, so you can look. We can look to the future. And again, we don't have to go into detail, but I thought it'd be fun to talk about it here at the end of this episode, which is going to be your last episode as a. I'm going to put this like this because I have I'm a dreamer, right? This is your last episode as a regular host.
Okay, that's fair, and I think that's fair, and I'd like to think that no matter what, it's like there's no animosity. I don't think you and I have ever argued ever, which is kind of scary. But
yeah, I don't think. Never been like.
I'm pissed off at Kent.
I hate you. I'm mad at you. No. Never. But I started thinking about, I was going to, I had been thinking about, do we do a whole episode? Do we do a segment? And then I started looking up like sports breakup. I was like, are we Mike and Mike?
Oh.
Are we Stephen A and Max? Are we skipping Shannon? but like you said, there's no animosity.
No.
So I think it's more along the lines of like a Mike and Mike.
Well, no. And this is, so here's the only difference I'll say to that is Mike and Mike, and I've heard Greeny say this quite a few times. Yeah. Him and Golick didn't really have a relationship outside of the show. That's not you and I. Like you could always text me for anything, and I'm going to reply always. So I think that's where it's maybe a little different. For me, I mean, I'm a nobody dude. I ain't no celebrity. And I ain't rich. We've been talking about it back and forth for months. And the main thing is I knew I had a ton of things coming up in 2026. And I haven't even had a chance to tell you this. I had major stuff take place at work. All good news.
Yeah.
But like work is about to get really busy for me. And, so the timing actually kind of worked out perfectly for me, because I didn't want to feel like I was shorting you or shorting the show in terms of quality, what we do and how we do it. So, we talk all the time, man. Like this has been, and that's the other thing. I don't know if you've noticed. I didn't know if you wanted to make a correlation to this, but I was super quiet this week. It's because I was busy as hell at work. Usually it's back and forth. If not every day, every other day, several times a day of us setting up the show and, just having, regular banter back and forth. But no, I mean, like I said, this has always been fun. Like I enjoy this. I enjoy, just kind of the shit talking and, doing this. It gave me an opportunity to be creative in ways that I never really thought about or considered. I learned a lot of things, and there were things that I was really good at when it came to, to putting out a podcast consistently the way that we have. It's a lot of things that I didn't know that I was really, really good at, and I turned out to be really good at them. So, a huge benefit, and I'm sure things will come up where it's like, yo, we want to get you on the show for this. Hey, we want to get your thoughts for that. It's just going to be way more few and far between than how it has been, with the, the 40 plus episodes we put out, including all the bonus stuff. So, if there's something, we can always revisit that. But yeah, for me, that's all it is. I don't want anybody to think that, I'm going to, fall off the face of the earth, or, you and I had a fist fight in the parking lot. That's not what it was. It just, but I will say we stretched things out, and the timing literally could not have been more perfect. This entire show was completely your idea. I know you want to give me a lot of credit, but the genesis of this came from you, in terms of, even the name and the format and how we wanted to do things.
Right.
So
I pushed you hard to get this.
Not pushed. But I wouldn't say pushed.
No, but like I said, I get it. Yeah, I will take. I appreciate that. But like I say, you did a lot on the show, and it's not going to be the same without you. But to that point, it will move on. I'm going to give it a go to be solo. So we'll see how that works out. But yeah, definitely we'll have you again. Like you said, I think the idea is to have you for certain episodes when you're available.
Stuff's gonna happen, and I enjoy it, man. Like it's been really, really fun, and it's actually given me. We've known each other for years, dude, and it's given me an insight to your fandom. Some of it I love, some of it I don't necessarily love, but it makes you, and it helps kind of put the pieces together. I'm nonchalant about a lot of stuff sports related. It's a lot of sports stuff that happened that I don't care about, and luckily that was the yin and yang, where it's like the stuff that I cared about, maybe you didn't care about, and the stuff that you cared about, maybe I didn't, and we were able to find ways to make it fit. So. No, man. Like I said, I've always appreciated it, and I don't think it's gonna be too different. I got some ideas. I'll share it with you once we officially log off of this episode. Yeah. But yeah, I got some stuff for you. I think there's some creative things that we can do as you keep things moving along. Yeah,
for sure. And like I said, I'll be figuring out. But everybody,
No. Keep it moving.
So it's gonna be different. I'm gonna figure out the format, like I said, with your help, maybe some others. Again, figure out a format kind of the same, but again, it won't be the same because again, I'll have nobody to bounce off, stuff. So it'll be a little different, similar to the wrestling episodes, but again, try to even modify that into something. Of its own with the show. So we'll see where it goes. We'll see what else it can do and how it can grow. But again, thank you. Log off as you log off.
Yeah. And an unofficial final log off. And and like I said, I appreciate your words, man. I'm always, like I told you, when we kind of came to that, fully support you. The question was, okay, I knew you were going to want to keep this thing moving. And I encourage you to do so. And like I said, when we hop off, I got some stuff for you. I think you'll like it.
All right. Cool deal. All right. Well, that is another episode of Fanatically Speaking. And I am Kent, your co-host and promoter.
I am Loggoff, the Loggoff legend, the hater of social media. I am the co-host and producer of the show. And thanks again for listening. And everyone, spread the word. Send it to everybody you know. Tag them, post it, share it as much as you possibly can, so that way we can expand the footprint of it. And go ahead and break out the socials and stuff, because I don't do social media.
Yeah. Socials: Facebook, Instagram, TikTok. You can also listen to us, watch us, YouTube. No video yet, but we're there.
Yes, all of it's there. And spread the word. And I'll say it. Tap the app. Tap that app.
Tap that app. Yeah, listen on all podcast outlets. It's everywhere. Just go look us up. Look at, like I said, and like you said, listen, share. That's the biggest thing. If you're listening, tell a friend. And
everybody likes sports. If you're listening to it, people that like sports. Give it to other people that like sports, and tell them to give the feedback. I don't mind shit talking. Tell them to talk shit and send DMs and all that fun stuff. Yeah.
That's right.
Yeah.
All right.
Awesome.
That's a wrap.